Today, we're headed to one of the most brutal battlefields on the entire planet, the Batalik sector in Ladakh, right in the middle of the 1999 Kargil War. We're talking 18,000 feet, where the air is so thin it feels like a ghost, and the terrain is just vertical. It's here that a quiet but absolutely critical battle was fought, and this is the story of the man who led that fight. This one quote right here from Colonel Sonam Wangchuk, who was major at the time, is really the key to understanding everything that happened next. You know, an ibex is a wild mountain goat, just unbelievably agile and perfectly built for the highest, most dangerous peaks. This wasn't just some nice compliment. He was stating a fact about his elite soldiers, the Ladakh Scouts.
So, picture this. It's the summer of '99. While all the major cargo battles are grabbing headlines, there's this hidden conflict raging on these frozen heights. This was a silent war, fought with frozen breath and numb fingers, miles and miles away from the main supply lines. And they were fighting for strategic ground that could decide the fate of India's entire northern border. Okay, so how did this all kick off? Well, this timeline gives us the context. During the brutal cold of the winter, Pakistani forces put a plan into motion called Operation Badh, secretly moving into Indian posts that were vacant for the season. And get this, the first alarm wasn't raised by some high-tech satellite, but by local shepherds on May 3rd. Just a few weeks later, by May 30th, things in a specific spot called Tungana had reached an absolute boiling point.
All right, now we get to the real heart of the matter. A single, unbelievably important mountain pass, and the very unique soldiers who had to defend it. The stakes here were just immense. We're not just talking about a piece of land, we're talking about control over the strategic gateway to the Siachen Glacier itself. The entire fight in this sector really hinged on this one location, the Chor Batla axis. Now, what's fascinating is the phrase low elevation. I mean, we're still talking about insane heights, but compared to all the giant peaks around it, this pass was a weak spot. It was like a natural funnel for any invading force trying to push deeper into Ladakh and cut off Siachen.
And this table perfectly lays out why holding that pass was so critical. You see, Pakistan's Operation Badr wasn't some small-scale skirmish. Just look at these objectives. They wanted to sever the logistical lifeline to Siachen, forcing an Indian withdrawal. They also wanted to grab key heights to permanently change the line of control, the borders set by the Shimla Agreement. Batalik was a major piece in that much bigger strategic puzzle. So who on earth could possibly fight in an environment like this? Enter the Ladakh Scouts. These weren't just any soldiers. They were the sons of the soil. Recruited from the local population, their bodies were already used to the thin, oxygen-starved air that would absolutely cripple regular troops. They knew the terrain like the back of their hand and, this is crucial, they operated as an extended family. In that kind of brutal, lonely place, that bond is a weapon. It gives you the mental strength to fight when every instinct is just screaming at you to survive. It all comes to a head on May 30th, 1999, at this one tiny observation post called Tungana. This is the exact moment where the courage of the Ladakh Scouts and the leadership of Sonam Wangchuk would be tested to their absolute breaking point.
The entire defense of this tiny, isolated spot at Tungana came down to just 10 or 11 Ladakh Scouts. I mean, just think about that for a second. 11 men, including a soldier named Sepoy Rinchen, basically standing guard on top of the world. And who were they looking at? An entire Pakistani company moving on their position. That's roughly 135 enemy soldiers. The odds were just completely, hopelessly stacked against them, more than 10 to 1.
But, facing this overwhelming force, they didn't panic. Not at all. They relied on sheer discipline and a tactic called controlled fire. What that means is they had to hold their nerve, stay hidden, and wait. Wait until the enemy was just 6 or 7 meters away. We're talking close enough to see the expressions on their faces. Only then would they open fire. This made sure every single shot counted and created maximum shock and chaos.
And now, the spotlight shifts to the man in the rear, Major Sonam Wangchuk. He gets the frantic radio call about the attack on his men, but when he tries to get orders from his superiors, nothing. The chain of command isn't responding. This is that exact moment where a good leader has to become a great one.
Seriously, put yourself in his shoes. Your guys are in a desperate fight for their lives, but the brigade commander is tied up in a conference. There are no official orders coming down the pipe. You can wait and risk losing everything, Or you can act. What do you do?
For Wangchuk, the answer was obvious. He didn't just see the Ladakh Scouts as a unit. He saw them as his extended family, as his boys. His leadership philosophy was dead simple. A commander belongs at the front, especially when his men need him the most. Their morale depended on it.
So he took action, instantly. He ordered his men to get ready, telling them to travel light for speed, just weapons and ammo, nothing else. Then he used his fresh, first-hand knowledge of the terrain to brief his immediate superior, Colonel Chandak, and got the crucial verbal go-ahead he needed. Carry on. This wasn't a panic move. This was calculated, rapid-fire initiative.
Armed with just that verbal permission, Wangchuk launched a counterattack that was as brilliant as it was incredibly bold. This wasn't just about reinforcing a post anymore. This was about changing the entire game for the whole Batalik sector.
And this right here shows you the genius of his choice. A frontal assault, that would have been suicide. You'd be attacking right into the enemy's strongest point. But instead, Wangchuk chose a flanking raid, a classic, daring move designed to hit them from a direction they never saw coming, creating total chaos and exploiting their weakness.
And the effect was immediate. It was devastating. The complete surprise of an attack from the side just shattered the Pakistani formation. They were totally unprepared for an assault from that angle. The psychological shock, combined with the pure ferocity of the Ladakh Scouts, turned the tide of the battle in an instant.
The result of this one single act of decisive leadership and unbelievable bravery was just profound. The impact of that flanking raid rippled out across the entire sector, securing a huge strategic victory.
The victory was, in a word, total. After that counterattack, Wangchuk and his men cleared the entire Chor Batla axis of all enemy forces, pushing them right back across the line of control. The gateway to Siachen was now secure, and a critical piece of India's northern defense was kept intact.
For this unbelievable act of courage and leadership, Major Sonam Wangchuk was awarded the Maha Vir Chakra. It's India's second highest medal for wartime bravery, given only for the most extraordinary acts of heroism right in the face of the enemy.
And that really brings us to our final thought. The story of Sonam Wangchuk at Tunganala forces us to ask a really fundamental question about leadership. You know, when the stakes are at their absolute highest and communications break down, what really matters more? Strictly following the chain of command, or taking that decisive initiative that saves lives and wins the day?